It's early January. You're probably on vacation. And since you don't have much to do until you go back to work, what better way to spend the time than promising yourself the impossible? One more year. Welcome to the Unspoken Yes, the podcast where we make New Year resolutions the same way agencies promise this year will be calmer. With a straight face and absolutely no plan to back it up. By the way, quick note before we start. If you like the episode and you want to keep these conversations going, I share a bilingual newsletter on LinkedIn where all this thinking continues in written form. You don't need to remember anything right now. Just know it's there. And yes, please like the episode and subscribe to the podcast. You know, the algorithm is a very needy partner. If I don't feed it, it gets passive aggressive. So here we are, trapped in this toxic relationship.
Stay in my lane.
January again. Can you believe it? The magical time of the year when everyone suddenly believes their life will change because the calendar did a little spin. New year, new goals, new promises. Whether you believe in New Year resolutions or not, this is still a great opportunity to start changing things. Like any other day of the year, to be honest. So today, I don't want to talk about big promises, reinventions, or posting your goals on LinkedIn. I want to talk about the resolutions that actually survive February. The quiet ones. The boring ones. The ones that don't need permission. Because if your New Year resolution depends on someone else changing, I have bad news, my friend. Those are already dead. Usually by mid-January, sometimes by lunchtime on January 1st. So why do the first days of the year feel heavier than they should? Because January always feels heavier than it should. Nothing dramatic has happened yet, no big mistakes, no big failures, and still there's this quiet pressure in the air. I'm going to give you the answer. January is that dangerous time when expectations wake up before reality does. We look at the year ahead and do a strange thing. We mentally compress 12 months of work, stress, ambition, and hope into one big emotional decision. This year will be different. Not because conditions change, but because we need to believe effort will finally be rewarded. That's why resolutions feel so personal, and why failing them feels worse than it should. Which is also why choosing the right kind of resolution matters more than choosing the right words.
Said I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm all about it. Said I'm all about it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Said I'm all about it. Yeah, I'm all about it.
Every January, agency people all around the world promise themselves things like, this year I'll do better work. This year, clients will be braver. This year, the agency will protect creativity even more. All noble, all optimistic, all completely outside your control. And that's not negativity. That's just how systems work. If your resolution requires a client to suddenly grow courage, an agency to change incentives, or the industry to calm down, then you are not making a resolution. You are making a wish. And wishes only come true in Disney movies. We all know that.
Let it go, can't hold it in anymore.
The resolutions that survive have something in common. They're small, they're specific, and they're owned by exactly one person. You. Not your CD, not your client, not the industry. You. These resolutions don't fix the system. They change your position inside the system. And that difference matters more than we like to admit. But hey, let's not get very negative here. This is the part I actually like about New Year resolutions. Once you stop aiming at things you don't control, what's left is surprisingly practical. You can't control whether a client buys the idea, but you can control whether you present something you don't believe in just to get through the meeting. You can control timelines, but you can control how early you involve people instead of protecting work like it's a secret family recipe. You can't control workload, but you can control which fires you run towards and which ones you stop pretending are yours. And let's be clear, none of this fixes the system, but all of it changes how you experience it. And that's already a very decent win for a New Year's resolution, don't you think so? Let's go through them one by one though. First one, presenting work you don't believe in. Oh, don't you dare. Before any presentation, do something very simple. Ask yourself privately, before the meeting, if this gets approved exactly as it is, will I still be proud of it in 3 months? This isn't about sold out, it's about clarity. If the answer is yes, great. Present it with confidence and move on. If the answer is no, you don't need to redo everything. You don't need to sabotage the work. What you do need is to carry that clarity into the room, which means naming the gap out loud when you present. Saying something like, this solves the brief, but it's not the strongest version yet. If we want more impact, this is the area I'd push. You're not asking for permission here, you are showing judgment. And over time, people don't remember every idea you present, but they do remember whether you had a point of view or not. Now let's go back to the second one, timelines. When timelines are tight, our instinct is to protect the work until it's ready. I'm going to propose something crazy here. Try doing the opposite. Involve people earlier than it feels comfortable, but with less material. No decks, no polished ideas, just questions. Does this direction feel right? Is this the right problem to solve? Are we missing something obvious? Remember, early involvement isn't about consensus. It's about removing surprise later, when surprise turns into fear. And the third one, workload. We all know this one very well, huh? Okay, this one matters because caring is usually the reason you are overwhelmed in the first place. Here's a very concrete practice. At the start of each week, pick one fire you will not run towards. You heard that right. You will not run towards. Not forever, just this week. If everything is urgent, nothing is. And if you are always available, you're training people to never decide without you. This isn't about caring less. It's about caring when it actually makes a difference. January is full of ambitious resolutions. Big goals, loud goals, very shareable goals. But the resolutions that actually move careers forward tend to be boring. Improve your judgment, protect your taste, get better at deciding what not to do. Nobody applauds that. There's no badge for it. But February notices, and March, and April. And even the version of you that doesn't feel permanently behind. There's another reason why resolutions die early. We tell ourselves we'll start when things calm down, when the client situation improves, when the workload makes more sense. The problem is that in advertising, calm is not a season, it's a rumor.
Hey, who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who is it saying that? Who said
Waiting for the right moment quietly trains you to accept the wrong one. That's why the resolutions that survive don't wait for permission. They start slightly out of sync with reality. Not recklessly, just intentionally. Here's the good news. You don't need January for this to work. You don't need a new job. You don't need a fresh start. You just need one thing you are no longer willing to normalize. One habit, one behavior, one compromise you've been excusing for too long. Decide that's done. That decision works just as well on January 10th as it does on a random Tuesday in May, which honestly makes it much more realistic than most resolutions we make. One last thing before we close. Some of the most important changes to make this year won't feel productive. They'll feel slower, quieter, less visible. You might feel like you're doing less when in fact you're doing better. I know, that's uncomfortable in an industry obsessed with output like advertising, but it's also how sustainability starts. Not with dramatic moves, with slightly better decisions repeated often enough to matter. So if you're going to make a resolution this year, make it one that doesn't need applause, permission, or perfect conditions. Those are the ones that survive February, and usually the rest of the year too. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can do 3 very simple things. Subscribe to the podcast so new episodes don't get lost in the chaos. Share it with someone who's probably making the same resolutions right now. Or if you prefer to go a bit deeper into this topic, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me a message at the Unspoken Yes, all together, theunspokenyes@gmail.com. I read everything, even if I don't always reply immediately, sorry. See you in the next episode. Take care.
In my lane, and I don't stay in my lane.